Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Savannah J. Goins, author of Young Adult Fantasy, and today I'm going to give you my favorite tip for coming up with fantasy names. So this works for fantasy creatures, places, items, anything you need a name for, any genre that you need to make up names for. And this is actually how I came up with 90 or more percent of the names of places and items and characters in the Gwythinian and the whole series. So that tip, are you ready for it? Is Google Translate. So let me start from the beginning. What I do is, as I write, if I don't already know a character's name, usually I don't when I'm first starting, I think about them a little bit and name them based on a characteristic. So what I'll do is I'll throw in one of those characteristics, a physical characteristic or personality trait or something like that, and use that as a working name as I write until I get to the point where I'm ready to decide on their name. I like to get to know them a little bit sometimes, unless a name just jumps out at me. Most of the time I like to get to know them a little bit before I give them an official name. And once I give them an official name, I'm very attached to it and don't want to change it. So I like to make sure that I pick the right one. So I get to know them a little bit, and then when I'm ready to pick the right name, I go into Google Translate, and in the English part, I put in different characteristics about them. Again, physical characteristics, personality traits, things that are important to them, just whatever things are kind of their essence. And I will try different synonyms of those words, and I will translate them to Latin, Welsh, and Romanian. I don't know where that combo of those three languages came from. I think I first named the Gwythinian and Odin Terador either when I was 14, when I first came up with the idea, or not too long after in my teen years as I was working on the story. And that's where that trio of languages came from. So far it's worked really well for me. You can pick any language. There's probably like 100 languages that you can pick from in Google Translate. So once I find words in other languages that I like, I will pick a few of my favorite ones, and then I will throw syllables together as I like them and just try out different sounds, and that way I can find something that, you know, if it's for a villain, has a kind of menacing sound and also a menacing meaning behind it, or for, you know, different characters, there's just a little bit of history behind their name, and that the syllables also sound appropriate for them. So a couple of examples that I have, I'm going to look at my little vocab sheet here. So Odin Terador came from Welsh, and Odin means under, and then Terador comes from Latin. Terra is land. So when you think of like animals that are terrestrial, they're animals that live on land versus animals that live in the water or in trees. And Ofwendwyr, which is one of the places, this is the underwater realm in the Gwythinian, and that comes from Welsh Ofwyn, which means within, and Dwr, Dwyr, which means water. So it literally means within water. So I just took those words and put them together as I found syllables that I liked. As far as the name Gwythinian, that's actually from the Welsh word for salamander, which is Gwythieni. And actually that happened because I was really inspired by the way that Toothless from the How to Train Your Dragons movies looked. I really liked him, and he looked a little bit different than your traditional like lizard face dragon. He had more of a newt-like face. I decided that I was going to be super clever and make a griffin based character that instead of being a lion and an eagle was going to be a newt and like bat wings or something really silly and not really as clever as I thought it was. So I ended up just making them dragons, but he still does kind of have more of a newt-ish face versus a lizard, you know, traditional lizard-like dragon face. And his name basically means newt, so it's a little fun side note there. The second book is called The Crevabanian, which is the name of the type of creatures that you will meet in the beginning of that. And my actual all-time favorite character is one of the Crevabanians. And it is from Cryf a Bach, which is Welsh for strong and small. It's three words that mean strong and small. And I turned Cryfabach into Crevabanian with a little bit of adding in some words and syllables that I thought fit better. Rubanders are the type of animals or the type of creatures that live in Ofwendwyr, which is in the water. And Rubander comes from Latin for ruber, which is red, and candor, which is white. And rubander also sounds a bit like salamander, which fit because these creatures are based on axolotl salamanders, which if you've never seen one, you should look it up because they're pretty hilarious looking. I worked with them in one of my jobs in college. I really enjoyed working with them. They're really funny little creatures, and rubanders are basically giant axolotls with some special abilities. So just a couple other real quick things. Ramacri, which are the weapons that Wethenians make by biting sticks with their special teeth, is literally from Latin for sharp thing. And Arunca Ramacri, Arunca is Romanian for throw. So Arunca Ramacri is the art of throwing sharp things, basically. The Vorbiaquum, which we find out about in the first quarter of the Gwythinian, is a really neat looking cave where there are walls made of waterfalls, and their Gwythinians have a special scrying-like capability. It's a little bit more limited than scrying, but they can look into a body of water and see out into other places through other bodies of water. They can't see just anywhere, but they can see through other bodies of water and look out from a stream or something like that, or icicles, something like that in other places. And that comes from Romanian for to talk, which is vorbi, and aquam, which is referring to water. So basically to talk through water is what vorbi aquam means. Tukailon, the villain, the bad dragon, his name comes from Tikalos, which is Romanian for villain. His working name was Thing, because I couldn't come up with a better name than that. So he was called Thing for quite a while. So I kind of wanted something that started with the same letter because I was very used to it, and I'm just silly that way. So Tukailon is his name. Veritamik, who is the Crevabanian that you'll get to meet in the second book, who is my all-time favorite character. His name came from Amik, which is Romanian for friend, and Veritabil, which is Romanian for true. His working name was actually Friend. I have a video about character development, and I talk more about how I came up with his character, but his working name was Friend for reasons you'll understand from that video. And True Friend just was the perfect secret meaning of a name for him. So I hope you enjoyed this little hint. I hope that you'll be able to use it. There's also lots of fantasy name generators if you want to try to use those. I would be afraid of maybe potentially other people ending up with the same name, ideas from that, but people could also come up with the same names from Google Translate, and there's probably not a hugely great chance of either one of those things happening. So, try this tip if it sounds interesting. You can also try lots of different kinds of fantasy name generators. There are some for specifically elfish names or dwarvish names or anything you can think of. There's lots of resources if you just do a Google search for that. If you have another really special way that you come up with names, please share that in the comments. I would love to hear about it and share it with everyone else. And if you'd like to see my other writing tips, please hit the subscribe button, and to be notified as soon as I post, you can hit the bell icon. I post every Monday, and until then, have fun making words happen, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.